Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Fran, and today I would like to talk about one of the most powerful tools for manifesting the life that you desire. I'm sure you've heard this before on many channels and from various coaches. And if you're anything like me, it might even have annoyed you. When I share it with my friends, the most common reply I get is, I don't aim to be a saint or a Zen master. I want to feel my emotions. I want to feel alive. So this brought to light a big hidden assumption that many of us carry around in our subconscious, completely unaware of the fact that it's shaping our destiny in inverted commas and our future. We're mistaking being in pain for being alive, or with being alive. And if it's true that when we are in pain, our emotions are better, yet our sensations are heightened, and therefore we feel more alive, there are other more pleasant, healthier ways to feel alive. Somehow we've come to equate reacting in an automatic mode to everything that happens to us in our life to being alive. We're confusing fear with excitement. This is pretty natural. I mean, if you think about it, our very first experience of being alive is one of pain and fear. Being born isn't exactly a walk in a park. For starters, you have to die to your old fetus self even before you experience being born. You're experiencing death of your old self before birth. You cannot have the new without saying goodbye to the old one. So death always precedes a new birth. And if you're not careful, we come to equate life with pain and suffering. Being in pain somehow is better than feeling nothing. And since life is pain, then being numb or feeling nothing equals being dead. But when I say do not react to your 3D, I don't mean become a zombie and feel nothing. I mean, do not interpret the facts as negative. Do not assume the worst. Do not feel persecuted by life, destiny, God, misfortune, the universe, or whatever else you might believe in. I mean, withhold judgment, shift your attention to practical chores if you must, stay present. In actual facts, when you're reacting in autopilot, you're more of a zombie than when you consciously choose to detach yourself from a certain interpretation. Because when you react automatically to unwanted events in your life, you're not really awake, and therefore you're less alive than when you choose consciously how to respond. You see, whenever you are unaware, you are asleep, and therefore you're less alive. If you constantly react to external circumstances, you're not really in charge of your life. You are not in control. You're not creating, you're being created. So you see, just because you're in pain, it doesn't mean that you're more alive. Quite the opposite, in fact. You being in pain is a strong indication that you haven't woken up to the fact that you are the creator of your own reality. When people say, I don't want to be Zen, I want to feel my emotions, they confuse being out of control with having an exciting life. If they're not in control of the events of their life, then life is more exciting, fun, surprising, unpredictable, right? But here's the thing, even when you become a conscious creator, you do not predict how and exactly when things will show up in your life. You simply predict or know even that they will. In actual fact, life will find new ways to surprise you. And it will get much more exciting as you start realizing all your dreams. You will get the excitement without the pain. There will still be challenges because how do you know what you want unless you know what you don't want? But you need no longer linger in the unwanted. In other words, pain is part of life, but it's not necessary to be alive. This seems almost like an imperceptible small distinction, yet it's all that stands between you and your desired reality. So when I say do not react to your 3D, I mean withhold judgment. Delay responding to your current circumstances. Now, act like a judge who hasn't seen all the evidence yet. Keep an open mind, but remain open to be surprised. I'm not asking you to be a robot without emotions. I'm asking you to become aware of them and to observe them from a neutral standpoint. Do not jump to conclusions and simply observe what happens within the next few days. You don't have to be a Zen master. All I ask of you is that you do this exercise. Notice when you're about to react like a pre-programmed robot and postpone your reaction by 24 hours. Then notice whether your non-reaction has shifted your 3D reality in some way, shape, or form. What's the worst that can happen? You haven't allowed some external circumstance to dictate how you feel? Is that so bad? Would you rather be an actor in the movie of life or a reactor? I can almost hear you scream, yes, but if my circumstances were better, my reactions would be different. Sure, but you still be passively reacting to something outside of yourself and outside of your control. Have you ever seen a charismatic person be dragged around by events in their life? Charismatic people are attractive and magnetic because they are aware and awake. They do not react in automatic. They observe their emotions, then shift them in the wanted or desired direction. It's like sailing. You can't control the wind, you can only adjust your sails. But in the end, there is no difference. Once you learn how to adjust your sails according to changes in the wind, you can get to where you want to get. Does it make sense to say yes, but if the wind always blew in the right direction, I wouldn't need to adjust my sails? Of course not. And also, what would be the fun in sailing at all? And does it make sense to say yes, but if I push really hard against the wind and struggle all the way, then I feel like I've deserved my getting to my destination more? Of course not. Does it make sense to think that if I learn how to adjust my sails to the changing wind, then I must be weak? Again, no. So why do we hold these silly beliefs in life? Why do we feel that we have to suffer and struggle in order to be alive? Why do we feel that we should push against an impossibly powerful wind in order to prove our prowess? Ironically, when people say that they're sailing through life, it means the exact opposite of trouble and strife. Sailing means that as long as I know how to turn my sails in the right direction, the wind is always on my side. In fact, the stronger the wind, the faster I can reach my desired destination, the more speed I can gather, as long as I stop pushing in the opposite direction. You see, if you turn the sails in the wrong direction, you can capsize the boat. But the wind didn't do that. You did. In the end, you can't stop the wind from blowing, and you wouldn't want to either. You can always respond in a way that pushes you forward rather than capsizing your boat. And just because you're not struggling, it doesn't mean that you're getting bored. So I dare you, if you do nothing else, and especially if you don't believe that you create your own destiny, stop reacting to your 3D. Do it for 24 or 48 hours. That is all I ask of you. Do it like an assignment. Expect nothing from it, and then just observe what happens in your life. Now, we'll give you a small example of what has happened to me in the past week. After an especially challenging few days at work and at home, I found myself reacting emotionally to events in my life. And the more I did, the more things started to unravel and to go wrong. As I explained in the previous podcast, now I won't repeat myself too much here, but I'll give you a quick recap. It all started from something minute, me feeling tired. Then I let my mind wander to my familiar place, my comfort zone, moaning, complaining, whining. So then a colleague started complaining about a sore throat. This worsened my mood considerably. And then I got a call from my next door neighbor to say that she had given my house keys to a builder who I hardly knew, and it had gone off with them, and now I might have to change all the locks. So I spiraled quite quickly out of control, and the more I spiraled, the more things seemed to get worse in my 3D. Eventually, the builder's bill doubled from the initial estimate as things kept going wrong. Then I really had to stop my spiraling mind. I had to take a deep breath and become aware of how I was creating these unwanted circumstances in my life. I had to force myself not to get into a victim mode, as that had been my automatic reaction in the past. So I forgave myself for letting my thoughts run wild and circumstances get out of control. I even tried to be grateful to my circumstances for showing me the dangerous territory where my mind was wandering. You see, your 3D is always a mirror of your internal reality. It's showing you the content of your past thoughts, emotions, and expectations. So I had to take stock of what was going on in my mind. When you're tired, when your sleep pattern is disrupted, when you're stressed or overworked or overwhelmed somehow, or even when you're simply bored, your mind just wanders. And it wanders in its comfort zone, in its familiar places. And if moaning, complaining, being fearful is your familiar place, your most practiced state of mind, then that is where the mind will automatically go. There is no point in blaming yourself because you got distracted and let your mind wander. Simply rein it in. Stir it away from negativity, from unwanted circumstances, from lack, fear, and anxiety. So it took me a few days to get my mind back on track and start from scratch. Then I started feeling better and I thought to myself, now good things will start showing up in my 3D. As I was having these thoughts, I opened the mail and found a £160 fine for driving in a bus lane. Now, not only had I no recollection of having driven in a bus lane, but I have been taking the same route to work for the past 15 years and I have never had a fine. I couldn't make heads nor tails of it. And my very first reaction was, okay, I've shifted my thoughts and crap still keeps pouring in. This stuff doesn't work. Now, raise your hands if you've been there. So I went straight back into victim mode. Life is unfair. I worked all day for free. Bad stuff happens to good people, you know the script. Until the builder who was working on my flat said to me, look, there's no point in going on about it. How is that going to fix or solve anything? What's done is done. These things are sent to us to test us. Now, that sentence stopped me in my tracks. This man knows nothing about the law of assumption, and if he did, he would probably dismiss it offhand. He's a very practical, pragmatic man. He's a builder, a handyman, a plumber, and he's trained to find solutions. He doesn't see problems, he sees things which need flexible solutions. His mind has been trained to always look for the solution in every challenge. There will always be problems, but they are solvable or solvable. I'm not sure what the word is, but they can be solved. So there is no point in carrying on banging your head against the wall over a problem. What you want to do is shift your focus to a possible solution. And when there is no solution, as in the case of the fine, well, there's really no point in keeping your attention on it. So I was shocked by the fact that I hadn't come to that conclusion myself. After all, I know about how our thoughts create. Yet I got overwhelmed and I let my autopilot kick in. Then I thought whether it is true that we are sent the circumstances in order to test us. Is it so? And if so, why? So we need to pass some... Do we really need to pass some hidden manifestation tests? And the answer is, of course not. No one is testing us, but thinking that I was being tested in a moment helped me shift my focus to my preferred reality. And then I looked at the date in which the ticket had been issued, 3 days prior, right in the middle of my negative spiraling crisis. Now, pause for a moment so you can take in the enormity of the insight that followed, because the majority of unwanted circumstances in your life won't come with a date stamp on them. Yet, this one did. It made it so obvious that my present 3D is just a delayed reaction to my past thoughts. So even if in the past 2 days I had been back on track, The ripples from my past state of mind were still showing up in my reality. The fine had been sent 3 days before, yet in our physical world, stuff takes time to reach us. So when we look at our present circumstances, we simply have to remind ourselves that these are our past thoughts and feelings manifesting in the now. In other words, the universe is not testing us. No one is testing us, as we are not. And we are not fooling ourselves about the law of assumption. It's simply that the 3D is a reflection of our past thoughts, beliefs, expectations of the past content of our mind. That is why it's so important to persevere in spite of opposing evidence in your reality. To paraphrase Madonna, we live in a material world and we are material beings. While at the quantum level things might shift without any time delay, at our level of experience things are affected by time, so we have no choice but to be patient. Now, this is what happened next. I was grateful for the builder's words of wisdom and let go of my anger about the fine. I even told myself that the government might use that money to carry out some roadworks. It would be my way of giving back. After all, I had been on furlough for nearly a year, so I was still in debt with the government. That thought itself alone was enough to put my mind at rest. And this is what happened next. I went to work, and because we were short of 2 crew members, we triggered an extra £100 payment. Then, because we had a long delay on the way back, we triggered another small payment. Then I received a congratulatory email from my employer for my 25 years of service, which contained a £100 voucher as a thank you for my loyalty. Then I bumped into a colleague who I hadn't seen in a very long time, and he told me that in the coming year we would get a £3,000 bonus, £3,220 richer, simply for not reacting to my £160 fine. On top of that, when I went to pay for my fine, I got 50% of it slashed for paying it within 14 days of it being issued. So I cannot stress this enough. Stop reacting to your 3D. Your 3D is a reflection of your past thoughts. Let it go. Use it as a mirror. Use it as feedback to shine a light on your subconscious thoughts. Take stock of where you are so that you can shift your awareness to your desired reality. Stop reacting to the product of your own mind. Get off the hamster wheel. Break the vicious cycle. All it takes is a moment of awareness. No matter what shows up in your reality, stay focused on the desired outcome. Or even just stay neutral. Do nothing. Or do nothing. If it helps you thinking that you're being tested, then so be it. Tell yourself this is a test. I need to persist in my positive assumptions. Or simply stay neutral. If you do nothing else, simply do nothing. Observe your present reality as if it were happening to someone else, because it is. You see, you've already shifted to a different reality and you are no longer the person who produced or created those circumstances. So this is it for today. I intend that this podcast helps you regain control of your life and become aware of your creating power. If you've come this far and found this podcast enjoyable, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. In any case, thank you for listening. Have a wonderful, exciting, fun, awakened life.